What's going on, guys? My name's Charles. Today we're going to be talking about winterization equipment. I'm not going to dive into the SOP of the winterization process, but we're just going to talk about the machines that are used in the winterization process. What machines can you use to filter out your solids post winterization? So we're also going to list one pro and one con for each of the options. Let's dive in. We're done, guys. Thanks for watching. So let's get straight to it. So we're going to start from the smallest machines to like the largest machines on the process. And winterization is just basically removing lipids, fats, waxes by modifying the temperature in your micella. And that's usually achieved by changing the solubility in the solution that you're talking about. But we're not going to talk SOPs today. We're only going to talk about equipment. So how do you remove your fats from your winterized micella? So there's a whole bunch of options, and it just really depends on your budget, on the scale that you're at, and on the speed that you need the process to be completed. And there's a myriad of solutions. We can't cover them all, but these are the basics. So most of you are probably familiar with a Buchner funnel. At the end of the day, it's just a small filter that has some filter paper in it, some a flask in the bottom, and vacuum pumps connected to it because it's a vacuum assist type of filtration. And those things are great because they're really inexpensive. They come in a bunch of sizes, and that's what a lot of people use. And so that's the pro of those Buchner funnels, is that they're really inexpensive and they're great for small labs, right? The con comes exactly that when your operation grows, they're just not good enough. You know, they're too small and it's not going to cut it for a large operation. And I've seen some places that may have dozens of these things. That's definitely not the way to go. You have to scale up as your operation scales. So let's scale up. The next step up would be a larger Buchner funnel. I know Bellart makes some, like a 24-inch size Buchner. We make, Sambo Creeck makes a 400, 600, 800, and 1.2 meter diameter filter trolleys. And the pro of the trolley is that it's an integrated system, right? It comes with everything that you need. You don't have to add a flask. You don't have to add vacuum because it comes with all of that stuff. So that's the pro of a filter trolley, where it's an integrated system and it'll get you filtering, and it's really great to remove those lipids and those fats once you have that solution winterized. The con about the filter trolley is that it is a vacuum assisted system. And so with all vacuum assisted systems, there's only so much you can vacuum, you can suck, you can pull, right? Until your solution just doesn't flow. Next down the line, moving to something a little bit different, a little bit bigger in technology, maybe you'll consider something like a lenticular filter. And so lenticular filters, they have stacks of depth filter sheets that are put into cartridges. And so those can be used to create a 3D surface medium to filter out those solids in the in the winterization process. And so what's great about lenticulars is that they are compact. You know, in a small surface area, you can do a lot of damage because these, like I said, these sheets are stacked. So that's the main pro that I like about lenticular filters, and they do a good job. The con is exactly that. You're paying for that convenience. So those modules can be extremely expensive. I mean, $200 to $600 for a module, and you might change them out on a daily basis depending on how big your process is. So that really is the big drawback of the lenticular. Next in line would probably be something like a candle filter. And so a candle filter basically is just a long candle-like tube thing. Check this one out right here. And so a candle filter is a housing, a long, slender housing with a bag inside. And so the bag can expand and contract so you can clean it. So the pros of a candle filter is that they can be really automated, and they'll do everything from pre-coating to cleaning themselves. So if you want to have a continuous hands-off operation, candle filters are the way to go. The cons of the candle filter is the temperature tolerance. So typically the candle filter will be polypropylene or something like that because it makes it cost effective for the unit. If you move on up a little bit, you'll probably go to a filter press. Filter presses, in my opinion, really are one of the better options for filtration. And what they do is they have a whole bunch of sheets of either cloth or paper on a whole bunch of plates. And so, instead of having one huge sheet, you kind of fold it up, similar to a lenticular. A lenticular actually copies the idea from a filter press but does a better job at it. But the pro about a filter press is just that the operating expense of a filter press is just so low. I mean, it really is an efficient way of filtering solutions, and you can filter out a lot of solution with a positive displacement pump. So you're pushing the solution through instead of using vacuum assist. So that's the main pro of a filter press. The con of a filter press is just usually the filter presses are big, which means you have to have a big footprint, but more importantly, the batch size. You may not even be able to use a filter press because your process is so big. Like, let's say if you had a 5-gallon process, filter presses generally are not made for such small processes. Some exceptions, yes, there are little laboratory filter presses, but that's not what we're talking about here. The last item on the list is a membrane filter. And so a membrane filter doesn't use filter paper. You don't filter on a membrane filter based on micron size. We measure it in daltons, which is based on the atomic mass of a particle. So with a membrane filter, the pro of the membrane filter is that it's because you're filtering down at such a small level, you can winterize and remove lipids, fats, waxes, all that. But along with it, you will remove some carotenoids, some terpenes, you will remove sugars and other things like that in various percentages. So that's the main pro of the membrane filter. The con of the membrane filter is the capital expenditure. They're not cheap for sure. So if you can't afford it, it doesn't really make sense to you. But if you can, the OpEx is the cheapest of everything, simply because there is nothing there, to replace periodically. What am I missing on the list? How about a centrifuge filter? I've seen some companies that will basically take a centrifugal separator, like a Delta Cup 15 or something like that, or similar, and you can put certain types of bags into a centrifugal separator that can perform the function of winterization. So you would freeze your micella, dump it in there, and then through centrifuge, centrifugal force, dry out those fats. In my opinion, I don't like it. I think it's overkill. I would say the drawbacks to that is the operating costs because of the consumables. The benefits to it is that if you have something that is high in fats, I can see through centrifugal separation that you could run through some serious quantities. I disagree with it. I still think that could, if you are in that situation, I would just use a filter press. Next item down the list would be something like a bag filter. And so I've seen bag filters in the industry typically will daisy chain 3 bag filters together. And that's because really start thinking about how a bag filter works, how it has a sock in there and how solids in a solution go straight to the bottom. And so when you really think about just how the fluid flows through a bag filter, you quickly come to understand the main drawback of a filter, how the solids just fall to the bottom and how the surface area is distributed inside that filter. And so it may not be the best option for filtering. And so what happens is that you need to have 3 of them daisy chained. And so that really is the drawback. There's a reason you have to have those things daisy chained. Because they don't filter very well. You have to filter everything 3 times and whatnot. Yeah, they have some filter bags that do a better job at the filtration process, but then those bags can be expensive, which is the negative of it, right? The positive is that, positive filtration, and it's a really simple, low footprint type of operation. They can be very cheap, but the drawback is that they don't do a good job filtering. And to fix that issue that they have with filtration, you get an expensive filter bag that may be $100 some odd dollars. It may only last you, a day or so. So it can quickly add up. I hope you liked this video and you learned something. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Thanks for watching.